Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Fantasy Fullback Dive, brought to you by the good people at the Roto Street Journal, paving your way, acting as your lead blocker to fantasy glory, fantasy excellence, fantasy championships, all that great stuff. I'm your host, Nat the Truth Jones, coming at you for our Monday show. With me, as always, the Wolf of Roto Street himself. Wolf, how you doing fantasy-wise, regular football-wise, life-wise? Anything else you want to share in the next couple minutes before we get into it?
Life-wise, fantastic. We got our Pats on tonight, facing the Bills, number 1 seed up for grabs. God, I can't wait for that. Snow's coming down. I think that favors our run game, favors Belichick, just the better coach. I'm pumped for tonight, baby. I cannot wait. Just love when any good Monday night action is great, but when it's your own team and it's like the number 1 seeds on the line, what could be better than that? So I'm stoked for that. Fantasy-wise, I lost to the 11 seed, unless Dawson Knox outscores Stephon Diggs by 14 tonight. You never know. Maybe Stephon tweaks something and Knox goes crazy, but I'd say 98% chance that I have lost this week. And I have already clinched a playoff spot, so that's kind of nice. But I was in the running for a bye. No longer the case if I do, in fact, lose this week. So that kind of hurts. It's a big kick to the nuts to lose to a inferior opponent. He had a Gainwell go for 18. I think 1% of people started Kenneth Gainwell. He was in it, and he had 18 fucking points. That type of week. You know, there's these random shit bums that he put together and decided to have the best game of their seasons. Dallas Goedert was like an okay play, but 26 points from him. Come on. So I got smacked around a little bit. I believe you had a pretty good – the last couple of weeks you've been pretty depressed coming on this show, but you look like you got a little bit more cheer to the face, which is a must say, but you look better than usual.
Yeah, I clinched my playoff spot. My league is just – it's kind of like the actual NFL. Everything is really, really packed at like you know, 6-7, 7-6, all that going into the week. This win put me at 8-6. I should probably be at like 11-3, but I 8-6, and that's going to clinch a playoff spot for me. I'm currently in the number 2 spot. The first 2 teams get buys. Nice. I'm the leading scorer, so I would have the tiebreaker. So I got, if I win next week, I'm going to get a bye, which is, you know, there's nothing better in fantasy than getting a bye. No. Also coupled with that,
when we talk about it, Nat, we do. I feel like the bye week gets your team soft. The teams that come in hot, it's always like the 5 and 6 seeds that end up winning titles. So that's why I'm kind of getting ready to scrap. Like, you know,
if I don't get the bye, I'm still going to go in, obviously guns blazing, but my team is kind of the walking wounded. Also, if I can wait out the bye, there's a chance that on the other end of that bye, Antonio Brown would be back in my lineup, which would help me immensely. Although who the hell knows with him? Yeah, my game was a shootout. Everything was pretty even, going back and forth. You know, I had Cooper Kupp, but then he outmaneuvered me with Justin Jefferson. You know, so it was a battle back and forth. Eli Mitchell for me. You know, I was winning by like 2 here and there. And where I actually won the game was at our flex spot, where he came with Rex Burkhead, and I came with Tee Higgins. And,
I mean, come on.
And that was right. That was it. That was it.
That's like a senior taking a 5th grader's lunch money, right?
Right. It was nice. Tee Higgins looked pretty awesome. And
we'll talk about him soon.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about him. And so that worked out pretty good. Unless I get outscored next week by like 80 to 90 points, I'm gonna win the points title, which is it's a payoff. So that means that I'll make money no matter what happens in the playoffs. So that makes me feel pretty good. So that's why I look a little, albeit a little bit better this week than in the past.
I like it. That's probably why. It explains it. Wolfpack, I saw some of you guys already commenting what you did. I think Sarno said he had 200 or something crazy like that. Love to hear. Let us know how you guys did this week. What else you're clinging to tonight if you need some Monday Night Football hope. Of course, if you have any questions heading in tonight, we're going to cover the game and whatnot in a second. And then, of course, we'll hit all your risers, fallers, and talk about the usage that matters. I know it's late in the season, but the stuff still does matter. There's still some very clear-cut risers, fallers, and some guys available in leagues that we're going to talk about. So come on in, crack a beer, pregame this awesome Monday night battle we have coming forward. Get all those questions, comments, and, of course, that like will help us grow. If you enjoy listening to the boys, you want to help us grow. New subscribers. We're now 60 away from 2K. Oh, wow. We're getting close, folks. We're getting close. We're closing in. So fingers crossed. Hopefully we can get there.
You got like access to your mom's account or your grandmother's account. Just get in there and give us a subscribe. We'd appreciate it.
Who are these foul-mouthed men that keep popping up on my computer, Johnny? Yeah, exactly. Right. No, I love it. But yeah, thanks again, guys, so much for being here. We're pumped to have you in here for a Monday night show, or if you're catching the replay, welcome on in. This is one of my favorite ones that we do, recapping the week. I feel like a lot of people just only look for like, who do I play? What do I do next? It's very important to look at these stats, and I can't wait to dive in.
All right, let's do it. Let's get right in. Quarterbacks. This guy's been gone.
Matt, before we dive into those, I didn't put anything at the top.
Okay.
I'll just quickly hit the Monday Night Football update. If anybody's been looking at Twitter, the weather is disgusting. It is just pure snow, wind. I think 45-mile-per-hour winds right now. One of those games that would just suck to be at if you're like up there in the bleachers, just getting your face peeled off by the wind. But you kind of love those things too. But yeah, gross night for kickers, gross night for passing, deep attacks. I imagine it's going to be a ground pound game. And that I think favors the Patriots, in my opinion. Better line, better run game, better coaching. I think it all is going to line up for a Patriots win here. But if you're playing those like Monday Night Football showdowns, I'm going double Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, hoping they pound it in, going Pat's defense. I do think Josh Allen makes a good play if you really wanted to captain him. Obviously, he's got the leg points too, but I'm avoiding the Stephon Diggses, the deep threats like Nelson Aguilar, maybe Jacoby Myers or Beasley in the short passing game get a little boost. But that's how I'm attacking this Monday Night Football showdown slate for any of you guys that play DFS or have sit-start questions. And the last guy I want to mention is Matt Breida, who has led the Bills in backfield points in 3 straight weeks. He's still out there in 60% of leagues right now. So over half of leagues, you might have a shot at him. Why not stash him ahead of this game? If you have some trash to cut right now, go ahead and do it. Go pick up Breida before he becomes one of the better pickups. It's not looking like a great pickup week. He would be probably the number 1 pickup. Go get him now before you have to go contend with everybody else.
I agree with you that the Patriots running backs are better than the Bills running backs. I'm not sure that the Patriots running game as a whole is better than the Bills when you take Josh Allen into account.
Yeah, he certainly brings that dual threat eligibility, obviously more mobile than Mac Jones. And Mac Jones, like tweeted, I haven't seen snow before ahead of the game.
Right.
The long con. He's just trying to lull them into sleep. I love it. Mac Jones is, I can't wait.
I'm so looking forward to it because my game is decided. I got nothing. This is just me watching football, and I actually care about the game. And I'm just going to come out and say something that I never thought I would say in the past. I think I'm pulling for the Patriots.
Hey, that's literally the first time I've heard that come out of your mouth. I wish we haven't recorded. You know what? We're going to cut that clip and save that in the archives forever. I'm just going to replay that when we win the Super Bowl. I'm pulling for the Patriots.
I might have pulled for the Patriots when they played the Bucs earlier this year too, actually.
Yeah. There you go.
There's been a few games that I don't really hate the Patriots anymore.
Yeah.
Weird.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's go.
Quarterbacks.
Let's
continue forward.
Kyler Murray. He's been out for a while. He's back. 11 out of 15 completions, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns. Then he added that Konami upside that the Wolf is so fond of talking about, 59 yards on the ground and 2 more touchdowns there. So 4 total touchdowns. That's a really good comeback game. Not overly impressive yards-wise, but the guy got it in the end zone a bunch of times. His team got the win. The least talked about, least predicted for the Super Bowl 10-2 team probably ever.
Exactly, right? We talked about that on Thursday. But, man, he looked just as good as if he's, they took it so slow and cautious with him. It was Kyler from beginning of the year where 30 points is kind of the norm for this guy, the way he was zipping around the field. He's so quick and nimble. It's deadly. So I absolutely love it. I also love it. I get my text messages popping up on my computer tunes. Don't worry, I'm already on Cutting the Truth saying he's rooting for the Patriots here. So we already have the audio. Thank you, Tunes. That's why we love you.
I mean it. I mean it. And I don't even hate the Bills. I really like this Patriots team, and I like the narrative.
I fucking love it there. Awesome. Well, another mobile quarterback. This one going downhill, though. Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's been under 16 fantasy points in 3 straight games now, 253 yards, a touchdown in the air. And that, most of it came in garbage time. The last drive, I shouldn't call it garbage time. The game was on the line, but still 7 points in that last drive. He was at 10 points heading into 30 seconds.
Didn't it remind you of that Russell Wilson game last week?
Exactly.
Where he did nothing. That's all I could think about the whole time. 100%. And he blew the 2-point conversion at the end, just like Russell Wilson.
Like Russell Wilson, right?
Yep.
He had 55 rushing yards, which for Lamar is actually down from what you normally expect. So this is just looking gross for him. He took a big fall on my rest of season big board. He'll still have another 25, 30-point day here or there, but there's some pocket passes. As much as we love that Konami upside when it works for a guy like Kyler Murray, right now it's rearing its ugly head for Lamar in the sense that he is not throwing with any type of accuracy or consistency, and it's killing it. Let's get on the pocket passer that we were just alluding to.
Tom Brady, 38 out of 51, 368, 4 touchdowns and a pick. The pick was costly. I feel like they run it in from 3 yards away or something like that.
That huge fucking lineman,
yeah. But they did win 30-17. Brady had a monstrous fantasy game. What else is there to say? I think he put up 36 in my league, something like that. Might have been the QB1, maybe Herbert. I don't know. But anyway, he had a great game. Not much else to say about the guy. He's proven it all. Hopefully the Bucs now back on the right track. They've been skidding a little bit.
It's just wild to be his age, and he's on pace to set the NFL record for pass attempts in a season. And I know the extra game does help, but even without that, he would have been on pace for the most pass attempts. I think he threw like 30 times in the first.
He had 20. He had at least 19 in the first quarter. Might have been 20.
Yeah, because like 15 of them went to Godwin in the first quarter. It was insane. We'll talk about Godwin in a second. But he's also now has 6 games of 4 or more touchdown passes. No other player has more than 2 on the season. So I think he's definitely deserves some MVP conversation.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Age, 40? It's just crazy 40 that he's doing this at 44, whatever he's even at 80. He's going to be continuing to do it. It's the best. I love it. And Justin Herbert, another pocket passer that just slung all over the yard, 317 and 3, an interception, but still a big win, 41-22 for those Chargers. That is big stuff. And I just love it, a big game atmosphere against a good pass defense. This is typically where we've seen him kind of go boom or bust. Lately, he's really started to steady out. I don't know that we can continue to call this guy the boomer buster. For about half the season, it was either he's under 15 or he's getting 30. Lately, he's been 20 plus, nice and steady, and he's now up in my QB6 range for rest of season rankings.
All right, Kirk Cousins, the worst good fantasy player probably in the NFL. You know, when I don't know about you, I see the eye test for me. This guy doesn't pass. He just doesn't. But his numbers: 30 out of 40, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Again. Oh, by the way, they lost to the Lions.
Yes.
Which nobody else can say this whole year. I don't know, man. I don't think this guy is a very good football player at all. His fantasy numbers are totally respectable.
Absolutely. Every week in and week out, I think the same exact thing. You know, he's dinking and dunking, and he looked shitty. And missing wide open receivers from time to time, but it ends up getting the goods done, and that's just all that matters in fantasy-wise. But losing to the Lions, how embarrassing. That's kind of why I put this on here.
Hey, have you ever seen worse defense on a 4th and 2 from the in goal to go? I mean, they're just like, let's not cover this guy.
Let's just let him sling it in there. I love that Jared Goff got it in there.
Me too. I was pulling for him.
It was great too. My nephew's just gotten into football. He's 6. He comes like running into family dinner, like the Lions won. It's just like great to have like people caring about it in that sense. And do you see Rap Sheet's thirsty tweet as well today?
No.
Oh, so Jared Goff's wife, a swimsuit supermodel.
Yeah. I'm familiar with his wife.
You saw that video where she's like gets the call. And
yeah.
We know what the camera was focused on the entire time, and Ian Rap Sheet retweets it, just goes, "This is great." And just no other context. So the comments are destroying this guy. What's great, Ian? Like, what are you looking at, Ian? Like the thirsty police are out to go get him. But yeah, it was good stuff. A great win. Congrats to the Lions. And good Kirk Cousins game. He just continues to do that. And Joe Burrow, we talked about some injuries on here. He did injure his finger, but he came back and played through it. He's expected to play through it the rest of the year. He ended up going for over 300 in a TD. So his play wasn't of note, but the fact that he is hurt, still playing through it though, that's kind of what Burrow does. One of the toughest players in the NFL. Good to see that he's going to be okay and continuing able to play the rest of the year.
Supposedly Davis Mills is expected to start week 14 against Seattle. Tyrod is considered week to week, but a lot of people are saying he might be done as Houston's quarterback moving forward. So, I wouldn't say this is particularly good news for anybody that's a Texans fan. Mills has played 6 games and he was pretty awful. So he's back.
Exactly. I guess you get a late season audition to see, does this guy have any shot at being something of the future? I think it's pretty clear based on the early season. No is the answer there. But hey, we already know what Tyrod is. Like, whatever. Let's see what this guy does. And the last quarterback we're going to mention is Big Ben. As hideous as he is, did get a big win over the Ravens this week, went 236 and 2 TDs. The only reason he's of note, though, is after the game, the Athletic speculates based on some comments they saw reading between some lines. They think they're going to lean into that muddle huddle, they call it. Like they huddle up really quickly and get to the line and move it. Big Ben was very efficient, making some of his best throws of the season in that type of mode. And he's still cerebral in that sense.
He was like, okay. I feel like there's been so much smoke blown up this guy's ass for this game, starting with Tony Romo commentating and then just spilling out, oh, did you see how great Roethlisberger was? It's like, he was like, okay. He was okay.
It wasn't great, trust me. But we're talking about, he's ranked right now alongside the Andy Daltons and the nobodies of the NFL, the Davis fucking Mills. So I bumped him up a little bit on the rest of the season grade board, given he does have an easier schedule, given they might move this no huddle attack a bit more regularly. there is that narrative streak to it where it's coming out. It's his last season. So I could see them just letting the guy uncork it for these last few weeks and him having a couple useful days. So if you're rolling around the mud, you get the right matchup for Big Ben. He's better streamer than a lot of the people he's ranked alongside. That's really it. I'm not saying he's this like QB1 lock him in type of guy. No,
he is also throwing to Deontay Johnson, who's just
which
great.
Is all you really need. My God, that guy is a monster.
I have one. You know how you still blow a little smoke up OBJ's ass because he won you a title once. Ben was my quarterback on one of my title teams, and so I will always have a little bit of a soft spot for him. But I know a washed quarterback when I see one.
He's so washed. Oh yeah.
Give us a like if you haven't already. We're getting into running backs. Javonte Williams, your boy, the guy you benched for Tony Jones Jr. last week. 23 rushes for 102 yards, also 6 catches for 76 and a touchdown. And this is in a game that the Broncos scored 9 points. So this guy is essentially the Broncos offense. Their passing game is unspeakably terrible, except to him. He caught a bunch. So great game for Javonte. He's the real deal, man.
Led the team in targets, led the team in receiving yardage. Obviously was the complete and utter engine with those 29 touches. Just a good sign. Melvin Gordon being a free agent next year. Just like a quick little preview of what this guy is going to do in 2022 when he is the feature back, assuming they hand the keys over. And maybe they just give it to him the rest of the year. Why not at this point?
They should.
100%. Look at what he did. The guy's a monster. They already should have been, but now that how do you cage a beast? Essentially, is what happened. This guy looks.
I don't know. Ask Derrick Henry. They did it to him for like 3 years before he busted out.
I know. I just hope they don't do that to Javonte here, especially when they know he's going to be the feature guy next year. We know Shermer, their offensive coordinator, has typically loved his bell cows. I'm hoping we get a big season-long, end of season push here. It's the Lions next week. Imagine if Gordon's out again. We might see 150 from Javonte Williams next week on the ground, 200 total yards type of game. Just love to see that 178 total yard and touchdown performance. Beautiful stuff from one of the best up-and-coming running backs. In dynasty leagues, you'd have to have him in your top, I would say top 5, maybe even top 3 moving forward at this point. Another guy that's kind of resurging here towards the end of the season, Antonio Gibson. 23 carries, 88 yards, not the most efficient, but still got it done yardage-wise. Also had 5 catches and a touchdown with 23 yards coming through the air. He now leads the NFL in carries since they had the bye 4 weeks ago. He actually has more carries over these last 3 weeks, or 4 weeks rather, 95 than he had from weeks 2 through 8 combined. So 95 carries across those games, only 91 across those like 7 other games. Insanity how they're finally using him as well. He's now averaging 24 carries, 90 rushing yards, 4 targets per game, right around 19 fantasy points in PPR leagues per game. He was averaging about 12 PPR points per game before they came out. And by the way, Washington's won all 4 games since they started feeding this guy. I imagine that's just going to continue to ride this gravy train. And fantasy owners, if you somehow survived, this guy's your second rounder till this point, he might carry you to titles. Love to see it.
They're in the playoff hunt, for God's sakes.
Everybody's in the hunt.
Well, that's true. Everybody's in the playoff hunt. I just backing up on the Broncos one more time. I know I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm speculating, but I want you to envision a world next year where you're talking about Javonte as your undisputed running back and Aaron Rodgers throwing to those receivers.
Oh, and
they could be pretty awesome.
They would be one of the favorites in the AFC, easily. Maybe the favorite. Maybe the favorite.
And a team just like Green Bay playing in Denver that has like a decided home court advantage or home field advantage when you have like a real guy running the team.
I'm already thinking of Javonte as like a number 5, like top 5 running back in my rankings for next year. But if you put Rodgers there and you make that offense that explosive, he'd be in the conversation for like 1 overall. And I know that sounds insane, but like truly, like Jonathan Taylor, he's going to be, speaking of 1 overall.
Let's go. Jonathan Taylor, 32. I went against this guy last week. I went against this guy this week, and he had a great game, and it wasn't enough.
Survived.
32 rushes, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns, and win over the pathetic Texans. But still, the guy was great. He was not targeted in the passing game at all, which is interesting. Still had a monster fantasy game, and he did fumble once the game was already wrapped up. But still, can't argue with that.
Nobody's been better since Derrick Henry got hurt. There's really like no one even close to him. Across his last 10 games, the next closest player is like 85 points away from what Jonathan Taylor's been doing. He's been a top 10 PPR running back in 10 straight weeks, playing nearly 80% of the snaps week in and week out. Just an absolute bona fide, utter, complete stud. No need to go on much more on that one. Guy who's going to see his role change. One of the actual risers of this list, not just stats that are important, but a guy that's seeing a big, meaningful role change is Josh Jacobs. Had 13 carries for 52 and a TD, but that's not the important thing here. It's the 9 receptions. I think that tied a career high. Actually, it doubled his career high for receptions right there. Never mind tie it, doubled his career high for receptions. He'd never been more than 5 catches in his career. And that's because Kenyon Drake was carted off. He's been diagnosed with a broken right ankle. He'll be done for the year. But he already, Josh Jacobs was seeing 7 targets, 5 targets. You look at his game logs, 4 to 5 targets across the last 4 weeks. This was now the explosion game, though. And if you get this type of 3-down work moving forward the rest of the year, he's right up into my top 25 overall on the rest of the season big board here.
You talking about Jacobs?
Yeah.
Well, he was. I mean, let's add the Kenyon Drake news to that.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah, I talked about it.
Okay. I didn't know if you touched on that because it's a big, big deal.
Did.
All right. David Montgomery, talking about guys whose stock went way up, 21 rushes, 90 yards, and a touchdown. Also had 8 catches for 51 extra yards. So that's PPR. That's 13 extra points just tacked on whatever you got. That's a real thing. And he's got some easy games coming up, right?
Oh, cakewalk schedule, just like last year where he was the running back 1 in your fantasy playoffs. That could happen again, certainly if, just like last week, he had 22.5% target share. He hadn't seen above 8 on the year. That's insane amount of usage. I don't know if that will continue if Andy Dalton's bench for Justin Fields. That might lessen the appeal just a little bit. But, man, with that type of schedule coming up here and that type of usage, it would be crazy. I don't know if this is going to give it away because you're looking at the show sheet now, but do you know what running back leads the NFL in receptions right now?
I'm actually not looking at that part.
Who would you guess leads the NFL in receptions? Don't look at the show sheet.
Oh, geez. I mean, is it Montgomery? It can't.
No, he's been hurt for so long. No,
right. Well, I don't know. I thought you were trying to.
It is a wild person though. Like it's kind of crazy.
All right, give me like 5 seconds here. Man,
Chat, feel free to guess as well if you don't know this stat. Let us know who you think leads the NFL.
I have no idea. I really don't.
The common guesses are Eckler, Najee Harris.
Eckler is probably who I would have guessed.
The common ones, Leonard Fournette actually leads the NFL in receptions right now. 58 catches for the running back position. Okay. That is the most in the NFL. He had another 8 targets, hauled in 7 of them for 48 and a receiving score. It was a beautiful one-handed grab, too. He had 44 yards on the ground, didn't actually score there. But, man, that type of 3-down involvement's insane. I feel like we've been, all preseason we're trying to chase, who's going to be the James White? Is it Gio Bernard finally? Fournette just came right in, took a 3-down roll, and ends up being one of the top values. Him, Gronk, a lot of these great values coming from the Bucs this year. Probably him more so than anybody. Really one of the top guys you could have had in fantasy football. I was off him, and I'm pissed about it because he is an absolute beast.
I just think it's been proven out, so this is not a hot take anymore, but any part of the Bucs offense that actually gets snaps is worth having,
Like Cameron Brate had a fucking touchdown.
Sure. Why not?
Great.
Why not?
Like,
sure.
Whatever. Yeah.
RB1 lock when called upon, and this is Alexander Madison, who subbed in did perfectly well subbing in for Dalvin Cook. He started a little bit slow. Now his team lost to the Lions. Don't think it was his fault. He rushed the ball 22 times, 90 yards and a touchdown. Also had 3 catches for 34. It's a good fantasy day. Top 20 in PPR leagues. He's a no-brainer start if Cook's not there, like 100%.
Oh, yeah. You don't even debate it. He's no-brainer, almost top 5 at this point. He saw 91.7% of their running back rushes, an 8% target share right around there. On the season, he's averaging 88% rushing share and a 17% target share. So, it's like you lose Dalvin, you slide him right in, and it's Dalvin Cook again. Maybe not quite as talented, but the usage is right.
Good enough, though. Good enough.
On that usage, you're going to get it done no matter what. And he does look pretty damn good as well. I'm so pissed because I have Cook. I traded Madison to get him. Back in the day, I was not able to get Madison back, and I sure as hell wish I had. Devonta Freeman, another guy we talk about seemingly every week, but he just continues to separate further and further from Latavius Murray. 14 carries, 52 yards, and a TD. Also got 5 catches and 45 yards. Meanwhile, we had 2 carries for Latavius Murray, 2 catches as well. So clearly, all the share, nearly all of it is going to Freeman at this point. He has separated himself, and as bad as the Ravens have looked, as bad as Lamar Jackson's looked, it still is one of the best run schemes in the NFL for Greg Roman. Great stuff for Devonta Freeman. He is pretty much a locked-in RB2 at this point, in my opinion.
Here's a guy whose stock is plummeting just like it did last year. Remember how bad this guy was at the end of last year?
Yeah.
When we were just like, we were benching him. He's healthy for like guys who were like crap. Anyway. Yeah. Zeke rushed 13 times for 45 yards, also caught 2 of the 3 passes thrown his way for 2 yards against the Saints. I know we're talking about Zeke here, and we can focus on him in a second. What do you think of your number one guy, Dak? Speaking of this Cowboys freaking offense, what a bunch of garbage they were.
They were, I know. And there were some nice throws where you're like, oh, damn, there he is. That's why I have him number one. He's going to go throw 3 touchdowns, and they just couldn't pound it in ever. I don't know what happened there. But, yeah, Zeke in particular, like, I think a lot of the issue falls on him. They keep forcing him for no reason. He is clearly hurt. Like, when Zeke's healthy, this is not a healthy Zeke, because I do still really like Zeke as a player when he's healthy. This is not it. He's actually only forced 15 missed tackles on 160 rushing attempts. I think Javonte Williams has like 4 times that on way less than the rush attempts that he's seen. It's insane how bad inefficient Zeke is. And then you have Tony Pollard, who he comes in, he rips like a 60-yard.
Yeah, he's great running back.
What are we doing? Just rest Zeke, get him healthy for the playoffs, as healthy as he's going to be, and let Pollard shine. He always shines when you give him work. It makes no sense. And I imagine the reason he's a big down, he fell like about 25, 30 spots on my big board. I think that is going to be the case. They're going to bring him Pollard a bit more and let Zeke get healthy for the playoffs. We'll find out. Another guy that
before you go on, Eat Powder just threw us $5 and he's got a question. So
I think we got to hit that then for him. What does he got, Eat Powder?
He says, "Hey, Truth, who is your NFL team? Great show. Thanks for helping me into some playoffs. Cheers." I can answer that pretty quickly, and then we'll get back to the running backs. Thanks for the support, Eat Powder. So I am traditionally a Broncos fan, but I'm an Elway Broncos fan. That's how old I am. And when Elway was playing, and even after a little Elway after a while, it was like a religion. It's the way that the Wolf is with the Patriots now. It's like the Broncos won, my week was good. The Broncos lost, like I just wanted to die, until the next week. I mean, it's, only true sports fans can really understand what that. I lived and died by what these guys did. And now I'm lukewarm on them because, like, what's to get excited about? But it's like if the Broncos got really good again, I would go all in on the Broncos. Right now, it's like year to year teams whose player combinations I like. I kind of get behind and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm traditionally a Broncos fan. I've never really had another team that was my favorite team other than the Broncos. It's just kind of hard to get behind them. Huge now.
My follow-up to that one is we just talked about Rodgers going there. And I know we've shit on Rodgers pretty endlessly as just a human being on this show. Would you become a diehard Rodgers fan if he goes to your Broncos?
I'm going to answer that the same way that for a fact you would have answered it if he had gone to the Patriots this year.
Yeah.
You'd have been
hell yeah.
kissing that guy's ass all the time. Of course. I wasn't a Peyton Manning fan ever. He went to the Broncos. I was like, all right, go Peyton.
Yep.
So
won you guys a couple bowls there. Yeah. True.
There you go.
I knew you would. And as would I. I agree 100%. He's still talented as dick.
Talent is talent, man.
Yeah, exactly. And then he'd be out there to spite people too. So that would be even better. Well, thank you again, Eat Powder, for the support. We really appreciate it. Wrapping up our running backs with just a couple last players here. Sony Michelle had 24 carries. So first game, and he had that one featured game against the Bucs. That was a tough matchup. Didn't really do much, and that's understandable. But in his first feature work against a beatable matchup, the Jags, clearly beatable, 24 carries, 121, and a score, 3 of 4 targets, 8 yards, not much on the air, but still involved. And it was just a monster usage. He was in on 92% of the snaps, 90% of the carries. He's the first Rams rusher to go for 100 yards in a game this year, as good as Henderson's been. Sony has those honors to his name. And we have McVay just glowingly speaking about him after the game. I wonder if this hits, I know Henderson's only missed, he's actually active yesterday. It was an emergency situation, so he's probably not going to miss a ton of time. I wonder if Sony kind of forces a gross committee here for the end of season for all you Henderson guys. And I've been a Henderson, I loved him all year. It could kind of muddy the situation up given how well he played. And either way, the ultimate handcuff with benefits, this type of performance is in his realm of possibility.
The number one guy in our league has Henderson, so I'm hoping to see this turn into a committee that just absolutely fucks him week by week.
Same with my league, too. Yeah.
Tevin Coleman, 11 rushes, 58 yards. The Jets' week 13 loss to the Eagles. He also had 3 catches for another 19. I rolled this guy out in my starting lineup. It's kind of like what you said. He's gross, but it's a usable volume, right? It's like, I think he got me 10 or 11 points, which was fine with me. Certainly better than Tony Jones got me the week before. So it's not like I'm overly impressed with the guy, but if you're going to have a running back on the Jets, this seems to be the guy to have, right?
84.6% rushing share, 11% target share. It's hideous, but that is a ridiculous amount of volume. And as you said, unlike Tony Jones, he does actually do something with the volume. And Zach Wilson actually looked like better than he usually does, at least. So maybe this Jets offense, it won't be quite as inept here down the stretch. I just want to mention Hilaire, again, dominating the carry share, 14 carries compared to 5 for Daryl Williams. Now, the mentor did come in. I love that nickname that Roto gave him, the mentor, by the way. Hilaire got 3 catches, 28 yards, did okay, but we did see a little bit more receiving work go to Williams. So it's not like a complete separation.
Williams had 11 PPR points.
Yeah, he did okay.
Respectable game.
He won me $60 on DraftKings. I'll take it. Like he ended up being my like sleeper play.
I said he was my sleeper of the week on the show, and you mocked me.
I know, and I ended up using your advice, and it won me $60. I'll take it. So, yeah, it just goes to show, though, again, Hilaire, around 70% of the rushing share each and every week here. He's right back in that, like, nice running back 2 range that you can be confident in.
We don't even need to waste any time on this, but Seahawks running backs, Rashad Penny, 10 rushes, 35 yards. Adrian Peterson, 11 rushes, 16 yards, and a touchdown. That's the Seattle backfield for you. Now, Travis Homer had like a 75-yard run on a fake punt or a fake something that was pretty awesome. So that's cool. But, you probably want to stay away from this backfield.
Always, yeah. You already knew that, but just wanted to emphasize Adrian Peterson has only made it grosser. Hideous. Miles Sanders, yet another great game. Not great, but actually this was a pretty good game.
I went against him. It was a good game.
Yeah, he ended up having like about 15 fantasy points. It was dominating the rushing share with 66% of the running back rushes. Pretty solid. 24 carries was actually a career high this last week. I think his rushing was right in the top 5 of his career performances too. He did get an ankle injury though, so we wanted to mention that. And of course, even with all this, he still hasn't scored a touchdown. He has 135 touches without a touchdown. Nobody else has any more than 70 without scoring a touchdown this year. So he's nearly doubled up the next closest guy without scoring, which is abysmal. And that's why Kenneth Gainwell, 1% started Kenneth Gainwell against me, of course, still somehow outscored Sanders, even on his best game of the year. He still wasn't the highest scoring Eagles running back. That was Gainwell with 54 yards and the touchdown on the ground, that bag of fucking shit. 5 catches, 33 yards. He's going to cost me my bye. Kenneth goddamn Gainwell.
Quick reminder that in San Francisco, it's the Eli Mitchell show. Jeff Wilson, the Wolves boy, did not see a carry in the 49ers week 13 loss to the Seahawks. I can't remember when the last time the Seahawks won was, so that was significant in itself. Elijah Mitchell, meanwhile, did not have a very good yards per carry game, but he did rush 22 times for 66 yards, and he did score. He also had 3 catches on all 3 targets for 18 yards. I played him. I think he scored me 17 or 18 fantasy points in PPR. The guy's a horse, man. I think his last 3 weeks, he has carried the ball like an average of 25 plus times a game. He's a workhorse. He's tough. He's talented. He's explosive. I love the guy.
27, 27, 22 carries across his last 3 games, 23% target share last week, 10% this week. He's kind of taken over. He was in there in every situation, and now he gets the easiest schedule among running backs for your fantasy playoffs. As I said, he's a top 10 overall, top 5 running back for me moving forward, well ahead of Zeke Elliott. He already was ahead of Zeke Elliott, now clearly ahead of him. One guy that's not ahead of him, though, or that he's not ahead of, rather, is Austin Eckler. Just another quick update with 60 yards on the ground, 45 through the air, and he's up to 15 touchdowns on the year. Just a crazy stat. If you ask me how many touchdowns you have, say maybe 9, maybe 10, 15 touchdowns for Austin Eckler so far.
Really?
This year. Yeah, 15. Bumped ahead of now Najee Harris, who's been slightly mediocre. 21 carries, 71 yards. Did have 36 yards and 5 catches for the air. So, 26 touches. Obviously seeing an insane amount of work. But even with that, since week 9, he has not finished as a top 10 running back in PPR leagues. So, yes, I love Harris, but I think it's time. To me, on my rest of season big board, I have Taylor, I have Eckler, and I have like Mixon ahead of the crowd. And then I think Najee's in that tier below them with like the Eli Mitchells and those guys. He's not ahead of anybody anymore, in my opinion, despite that work.
All right, we're going to give about 10 seconds to Lions running backs. Jamal Williams, 17 rushes for 71 yards. He was targeted one time. He caught it, got 9 yards. There's this guy, Godwin, who had 2 rushes for 8 yards. On top of that, he also had a catch for 13. He ran 26 pass routes as compared to 9 for Williams. Williams saw like 71% of the running back rushes. However, he was actually on the field less than half the time, which is interesting. Yeah. Not really much else to say, but that's how the Detroit backfield shakes out.
Exactly. And I think it's a little bit of an upset given he is a pretty good pass catcher, good pass protector. That is Jamal Williams, but he lost all those snaps. So they made it more of a committee than I think anyone was expecting. So he definitely took a big hit in the rest of the season. Big board has 1, maybe 2 more starts, but not even as a 3-down back. Not that interested. No, thank you. James Robinson, definitely a faller with 8 carries, 24 yards, 1 catch, 11 yards, all of those yards scoreless. while Carlos Hyde fell into the end zone with 24 carries. Robinson fumbled and then was benched for 20 straight plays. And then Hyde fumbled. It is just a gross team, a gross backfield. It sucks because Robinson is so talented, but they're not using him. He started the year horrible, had 3 or 4 weeks of greatness, and then he's kind of really started to taper off here. Down the stretch, you've got to be worried despite a very easy schedule upcoming.
James Conner, 20 rushes, 75 yards. How many touchdowns does he have? Do you know? Isn't it like 14?
I think 14 of the season. Yeah, exactly.
20 rushes, 75 yards. He also had 2 catches and 36 and a touchdown. And one of the touchdown catch was pretty awesome. It was a great spin catch over the shoulder.
Yeah.
I've been wrong on this guy pretty much all year. He's a
you
solid
were more wrong than me.
No, but I was wrong.
As wrong as you could be. I fucking blew that one, man. I had like one of the best picks alongside Fournette, one of the best picks you could have made in round 10. And I decided to send him packing after 2 bad weeks. Nicely done. Well, fucking horrible. Saquon Barkley, 11 carries, 55 yards, did add 6 catches for 19 yards. Just gross, inefficient, but okay usage. I mean, he's now seen 16, 17, and 23% target share, but he's only averaging 11 PPR points per game, and Booker's coming in for 6 carries and 4 targets. Like, it's one of those things where you should feel better about it. It just isn't getting done, though. I don't know. I feel pretty bad about Saquon Barkley, to be honest, right now.
All right, give us a like. We're going to wide receivers. We just talked about every running back in the league, so hopefully that's what you folks wanted. Getting into running backs. With an Adam Thielen injury.
Wide receivers, you mean, right?
Oh, yeah, whatever. Wide receivers.
No more running backs, please.
Let's go. We got 30, 40 more running backs we're going to run down. Adam Thielen, early in the game, I think he had 1 catch for 0 yards or possibly 0 catches. I don't know. Anyway, he had a high ankle sprain. Yeah. He went out. Justin Jefferson targeted 14 times, caught 11 of them. I went against this guy. It hurt. Had 182 yards and 1 touchdown. We don't know what's going on with Thielen. He's going to have further testing and all that. But one thing you do know is this probably increases Jefferson's value even more.
Yeah, 100%. He's going to go down as a league winner down the stretch. In fact, he already has been lately. Even without the Thielen injury, he was averaging 31% target share across his last 4. In that span, 27 PPR fantasy points per game. And he just beat that this last week. Ooh, he could go nuts down the stretch. I mean, he already is going nuts. He's going to go nuts down the stretch. He is now up inside my top 6 in the rest of the season, big board. Other than Cooper Kupp, I mean, maybe Devontae Adams and then Justin Jefferson for me. But you could debate with me whether it's Devontae Adams or Jefferson. Like, who would you rather have down the stretch, Adams or Jefferson?
I would have said Adams up until a couple weeks ago, and Jefferson's just really been impressing me a lot. So I don't know. It's tough. I mean, Debo, if he's healthy, I would also consider.
The only reason he's not in that top 5 for me is he's hurt right now. Right. A guy that is now inside that top 5, 17 targets, 15 catches, 143 for Chris Godwin. What an insane performance. If you watch this game, it was like everything went his way the entire game. It was wild. I think it was a franchise record for most receptions in a game. Unbelievable performance for him. The most of any wide receiver since Keenan Allen had 16 in week 11 last season. So great performance from him. Just an absolute stud, locked into my top 5 rest of season, locked into the top 12 overall as well. Wonderful performance. Just an unbelievable beast.
Watching him get targeted that much reminded me of Calvin Johnson when he played with Stafford, which is high praise coming. I love Calvin Johnson. Yeah. And I just remember it would seem 2 out of 3 plays, they're throwing the ball to him and he's catching it almost every time. Deontay Johnson, we talked about him. He's probably not far outside the top 5. 8 out of 11 targets for 105 and 2 touchdowns in the Steelers win over the Ravens, a game they didn't deserve to win. Johnson actually dropped one that should have been a touchdown earlier in the game. But, man, he is tough to guard. He really is. So, anyway, great game from him. If the Steelers didn't have him, they'd be even worse than they are.
100%. What an absolute beastly performance. Another game, only twice this entire year has he seen below 11 targets. Insane volume. And I feel like a lot of people just underrate the upside with this guy. He can swing weeks. In fact, I saw him. Hills had him. She had a 10% chance of winning, and now she's a 54% chance winning because of Deontay Johnson just by himself. Unbelievable. Legend, an absolute legend PPR-wise. And if they go that muddle huddle, even better for him. Because did you see that route he scored on? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's insane. The guy runs routes maybe as well as anybody in the league. Maybe the best route runner right now.
I think Cooper Kupp is probably the best route runner I've seen in the league. But I mean, Johnson's in the conversation. Definitely. He's great. The
way he can stop on a dime is insane. Another sneaky, unbelievable route runner, Hunter Renfrow. 9 catches, 10 targets, 102 yards. 19 PPR points. Unbelievable what this guy does when out with Darren Waller out of the league. In fact, out of the game at least. There's only a handful of wide receivers who have 10 or more games with 10 plus PPR points. They are Deebo Samuel, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs, Deontay Johnson, Justin Jefferson, and Devontae Adams. None of those would surprise you. Oh, and Hunter Renfrow is on that list too. That's pretty elite company to be mentioned alongside Hunter Renfrow. What a just steady. We can't keep saying. I think the fantasy industry is like low ceiling but high floor. No, the guy has a great ceiling.
No, he's really good.
He's just good. He's a very good player, and he doesn't get mentioned alongside the waiver wire pickups of the year. Among wide receivers, if you have Cordarrelle Patterson as wide receiver eligible, of course he's the best. But other than him, like Renfro's the best pickup by far of all receivers in the league this year. Unbelievable.
Let's talk about Bengals wide receivers, and they were doing this
one to you.
with Joe Burrow with like his finger hanging off the side of his hand. This was a gutsy performance from Burrow. I know they lost, but he ended up with 300 yards anyway. We talked about that before. Seems like, though, Bengals receivers are even and out. And it's, we talk about expected fantasy points and stuff like that. And Higgins has been up on this list for a long time. And I feel like maybe Chase had been outperforming what he was supposed to. Now it seems like it's coming back down. Higgins had 9 out of 14. He was targeted 14 times, caught 9, 138 yards and a touchdown, including like some real like whip it out catches.
Did you see that touchdown catch?
Yeah, of course, man. You
probably were going nuts.
Yeah, I loved it. It was awesome. I really feel like he should have been doing this more times this year. Yeah. I feel like he's been the victim of circumstance. He's a really, really good receiver. Jamar Chase, 5 out of 8 for 52, a home game. Didn't he have one where he just kind of gave the ball to the other team? That was one of the weirdest interceptions I've ever seen. And
it should have been a long touchdown, too.
It should have been like a 60-yard touchdown. And instead
it was right there.
Pick.
Perfect ball from Burrow. Yeah.
I'd have been so pissed if I were Burrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, those are, it seems like, and if you look at like targets, you've got Tee Higgins is out getting more targets essentially than Jamar Chase. Higgins, who do you like more going forward, Higgins or Chase?
That's a great debate. Honestly, I was doing my rankings today. And like, I keep thinking Chase, the upside, the big play. It's him, right? I have them. I have them in my Detroit Lions Holy Cross team, the awful team. I have them both. I've never got all early in the season. I was higher on Higgins, so I kept playing Higgins, and Chase was just bananas. Finally, I was like, all right, I got to switch this narrative. Clearly, it's Chase. And ever since then, Higgins.
So you've just been wrong like every single time.
It's the worst situation. They're killing me. I think the targets have been more steadily there for Higgins all year.
They have.
Even if I think Chase might be a slightly better talent, like Higgins is, as you were saying, no slouch himself.
Higgins is really good.
They are just that tandem by like the rest, him, Burrow, those two, like to have that moving forward for your next 10 years must be so exciting for Bengals fans. I think I might rather have Higgins because of just the steady volume, I love them both. I think they're both. Let me see. I'll tell you what I ranked him as on my rest of season big board really quick.
As an aside, Tyler Boyd also had 5 catches on 7 targets for 85, which was actually the second highest number of yards he's gotten this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's not dead yet. I fucking hate him though. So I have Chase slightly. I have Chase 14, Higgins 15, but I honestly want to flip them. The more we talk about it, it's like I'd rather have Higgins in my life. I'm going to be playing Higgins and Chase. That's going to be the answer to that question. I'm going to be playing them both now moving forward. But I probably would rather have Higgins. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Another guy, though, Elijah Moore, it was just so good to see him finally score with Zach Wilson. 6 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown. He got it done with Moore. Corey Davis is also now done for the year with core muscle surgery on Tuesday. We've seen Eli Moore see 31, 34, and 33% of the targets across his last 3. Great to see that production continuing again with Zach Wilson. That is the biggest takeaway here. Just a stud, just an absolute stud. We were a little early on him early in the season, but man, has he panned out later down the stretch here. Love the guy. What a great player.
Even with Gardner Minshew looking like Joe Montana, Devontae Smith only was targeted 4 times, caught two of them for 15 yards, and the Eagles win against the Jets. Nothing to get too excited about if you're a Devontae Smith owner, but man, Minshew looked great.
He really did. It was great to see. I was so pumped for him too, and I'm sure you've seen like him celebrating with his dad.
Yeah.
Just like feel good. Who doesn't root for Minshew? There can't be anybody. Like everybody loves Minshew, and you should. A waiver wire guy. We'll talk about a couple of guys that might be out there in your league. Russell Gage leading him off. He's out there in 80% of leagues right now. Saw 12 targets, caught 11 of them for 130 yards. What a beastly performance. He's now seen 7+ targets in 4 of the last 5. This was a season high, though. He's seen 25% target share in those 4 games above 5. great performance from him. Solid numbers. He's like the clear number one. I mean, Kyle Pitts every week gets this hype. Russell Gage is sneakily getting it done week in and week out, and it doesn't look like Ridley's returning. So I imagine Gage will continue on the rest of the season like this. Good stuff. Number one target on the waiver wire for me among wide receivers.
Stephen Drake says a quick question. He just threw us some cash, and he needs 20 points tonight, half PPR. So
Thank you, man.
He needs your help, Wolf. Who should he flex, Stevenson or Myers? Thanks, man.
Oof. And it's half PPR. Man, with those conditions, I don't know that anybody's going to score above 20 fantasy points like across both teams tonight. I think it's just going to be a gross, ugly, slug it out game. But if somebody's going to score 20 in that setting, I think it's Stevenson. I don't know. This is tough though, because it could also favor the dink and dunk of Myers. And like, if you're throwing, you're going to the short game. But I think you're banking on Stevenson getting 2 scores. Like Myers is not going to score. If you need 20, you're not going to get that from Myers. You might get 15 as like a ceiling. You're not getting 20 of anybody. It'd be like a Harris gets hurt and then Stevenson's the feature back in a snowy game. Then you might get 20. I don't think either guy gets here. In fact, like I said, I don't know if any players here, maybe Josh Allen gets to 20, but if anyone's going to do it of those two, I would go Stevenson. What do you think, Drew?
I agree with you. Although, I mean, I agree across the board. I don't see either of them getting 20 half PPR. Full PPR would even be a stretch, probably.
Right. Exactly.
I guess if you're talking ceiling, it's like you said, it's Stevenson, assuming something happens to Harris. Maybe he gets injured. Maybe he fumbles and Belichick gets pissed, something like that, and he plows it in a couple times. It's a long shot, but that's what I would say.
Exactly. It's very hard for a receiver to get to 20 without either deep balls or touchdowns. On this weather, you're not getting deep balls, and Myers isn't really a deep ball guy anyways. And he has
he's
one.
He's not a touchdown guy either.
If it was full PPR, like you said, maybe he catches 10 balls. Okay, he could get there. Yeah. Half PPR, though, I think your best shot's going for the touchdowns with Stevenson. Best of luck, Steven, and thank you so much for the support. You routinely toss a super chat. You're the man. We fucking love you, Steven. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it.
Well, we got to fly. It's 10 of, and we still are on wide receivers. Wide receiver.
We only have a handful, though. We're almost there. All right,
good enough. Waiver wire, 2 and 3 picks. We're talking about Lions receivers. Amon-Ra St. Brown, who enjoyed a week on my fantasy team this year, was targeted 12 times, caught 10, 86 yards, and had 1 touchdown, including the game winner. Josh Reynolds was also targeted 7 times, caught 4 of them for 69 in the Lions' Week 13 win, their first of the season over the Vikings. I don't think you get too excited about either of these guys, but, I mean, they're out there probably in just about all leagues, and they're both decent receivers.
Yeah, I'd definitely go to Brown first. He seems to be the apple of Goff's eye lately, but Reynolds did play with Goff over there with the Rams. They do seem to have this nice rapport going on there. This week they get the Broncos, tough matchup, but the other 2 games to close out the year aren't horrible. It could be a stash, could be worth seeing. We'll see. I was disappointed. A faller for me this week was Brandon Ayuk. With Debo out last year, he was we
thought he was back.
Thought he would be back. 3 catches, 55, and most of those came towards the end of the game. Like, he was doing nothing for 3 quarters. It was pretty hideous. Not much to say other than that. We'll talk about Kittle. I mean, he is the real riser, and we're going to talk about why when we get to tight ends. Probably the riser of the week is George Kittle, in my opinion. We had a couple more receivers to get through, but then we'll just suck him off real dry.
Here's a guy that Wolf's not sucking off. Someone who actually needs to be cut. This is grind don't stop boy. Rashad Bateman. He did not catch his only target in the Ravens' Week 13 loss to the Steelers. Sammy Watkins, meanwhile, was targeted 6 times, caught 4 for 39 and a touchdown. It was a clutch touchdown, too, for the Ravens. Real quick, target shares over the last 3 games for Rashad Bateman. 16.7. It's like, okay. 12.5. And then 2.7. That's not too good. And his weekly finishes over those weeks. This is from J.J. Zachariason. Wide receiver 59, wide receiver 52, and wide receiver 92. He has finished in the top 30 exactly 1 time this year.
Awful. I'm cutting him. I cannot wait to cut him. It's going to feel just delicious. It's one of those guys, I joke about it, but I really do it. I set my alarm like 10 minutes early on Mondays or Tuesdays just so I can get these guys off my roster. Tony Jones last week, Rashad Bateman this week, fucking done. So done. Get out of here. He's so talented too. It's just the most infuriating part. Unlike Tony Jones, where it's just a bag of shit I'm getting rid of, I love Rashad Bateman as a player. He's not getting the targets. I can't do it anymore. Mike Williams is still not getting a ton of targets, 7 of them, but hauled in 5 for 110. It was great to see him going deep routinely yet again. 2 catches, 4. Oh, I don't even know. Mitch should update the title. I think that's what it was. My bad. Thank you. I don't know what he's saying. Still showing. I don't know.
What are you talking about?
Super chat. It was the super chat. That's what it was.
Oh,
okay. All righty. My bad. Thank you, Mitch. I appreciate the text to let us know. But Mike Williams had 6 touchdowns in his first 5 games. He has 1 across his last 7. So it's kind of a mixed bag here. Nice to see the guy get back in that deep threat role, looking solid, but only 1 touchdown in his last 7 games is a little bit concerning as well.
It's concerning, but he did get me 17 PPR points in my game, although almost all of them were in the first quarter. I feel like he had like 90 yards in the first quarter.
He was feasting, like
yeah. Jalen Waddle targeted 11 times, caught 9 of them for 90 yards, and the Dolphins win against the horrible Giants. I've been doing a great job riding the Dolphins defense the last 3 weeks or so. I've been playing some real shit bags, and they've been doing a great job for me. Anyway, he exited the game in the fourth quarter, but supposedly it was just cramps, and he's okay. He's scored at least 10 PPR points in 7 of his last 8 games, and he's averaged 22 PPR over his last 3. Target share over that time, almost 29%. That's great.
Wow. Great stuff.
If we want to talk about more Dolphins receivers, let's talk about Devante Parker. 5 targets, 5 catches, 62 yards. And they're going to be playing the Jets and the Saints down the stretch, so who knows?
Definitely a solid pickup out there in a lot of leagues still. Go get him if he's out there. And Waddle, a league winner, no doubt about it. Lockett is definitely the guy over Metcalf at this point, rest of the season. 68 yards on 7 catches and a score for Lockett, 8 targets. Metcalf also saw 8 targets. He did 5 for 60. That's his best week in 5 straight weeks. So that tells you everything you need to know about the type of season he's been having lately. He sucks. He sucks right now. He's failed to score a touchdown in 4 straight games. Hasn't been relevant at all. He's seen 8 targets across that span, 22% target share across that span, but he's doing nothing with it. The sinner narrative. Have you heard that narrative that because he's like in orgies with TikTok people, the good old faithful Russ Wilson's just not giving him touchdowns anymore, not throwing to him in the end zone? It seems like it's happening. I don't know. The guy can't score touchdowns anymore, and he's one of the best threats in the league. I don't know what's happening.
Arizona wide receivers were awful.
Ew.
None had more than 2 touches. There were only 15 pass attempts in the game. This is in a game where Murray accounted for 4 touchdowns, 2 of them passing. DeAndre Hopkins, this is 2 catches on 2 targets. Who's going to target DeAndre Hopkins twice in a game if he's healthy? He did get 32 yards and a score, but still, come on. Rondell Moore, 1 catch on 2 targets for 8 yards. Zach Ertz, 1 catch on 2 targets for 10 yards. Christian Kirk, 1 catch on 3 targets for 4 yards. I'm not making these stat lines up. Also, AJ Green, 1 target, 1 catch, 14 yards. Wow, what a pile of dog shit.
Only Hopkins is usable at this point, and even that.
Barely.
Yeah, right. Awful. Darnell Mooney was a stud for the last 4 weeks, wide receiver 14 or above for 3 straight. Then he goes for 5, 27. It was a gross conditions type of game. I'll give him a pass, but still with Fields back, I feel like he had his ride through the sun. Not looking great. Neither is Cortland Sutton now. We have him on here weekly as a follower.
He's droppable.
How low does it get? Oh, yeah, he definitely cut Sutton, cut Bateman, cut them all. 2 catches, 15 yards, 11% target share since Judy came back. Just hideous. He was the wide receiver 10 for a while. Awful. Just awful fall from grace here. If you want to talk about how bad the Jags are, why would you even mention them? I don't know why.
Sure, I will, because I have a question about this. So we're going to talk Laquan Treadwell, supposedly stock up 4 out of 5 targets. He caught 62-yard, whatever, in Jacksonville's Week 13 loss to the Rams. And then we got Shenault and Marvin Jones down. Laviska Shenault, 3 catches on 5 targets, 30 yards. Marvin Jones, 2 catches on 3 targets for 11 yards. Let me ask you a question. How far down exactly can Laviska Shenault's stock go? Like, hasn't it dropped every single week of the year?
I think it's like we just want to keep emphasizing how
low. Well, it's still low, folks. If
people are clamoring for him to keep rebounding. It's like, no,
stupid.
It's done. The show is done. I don't know why you'd roster him. And at this point, Jones droppable as well, especially for guys in these explosive attacks behind Cooper Kupp, the wide receiver 1. We all know that. But Van Jefferson, 6 catches, 41 yards a score. Odell Beckham, only 2 catches, 28 yards, but also a very nice touchdown. Both those guys, I think, very viable as wide receiver 3s moving forward for your fantasy lineups. Love them both.
Washington receivers, terrible. Terry McLaurin, 3 catches on 4 targets for 22 yards. And they still won that game, by the way. Curtis Samuel caught a negative 1 yard pass. Sorry. So he literally got negative yards on the day. And then he also had 2 carries on top of that, which he also ran for negative 1 yard. So Curtis Samuel accounted for -2. Let's count again. That's -2 yards in the win against the Las Vegas Raiders.
Crazy. I can't believe this McLaurin crap, though. It's horrible. He's so hard to bench, but man, it's like he's like Mike Williams. He's fancy Mike Williams, you know. He blows up every now and again, so you keep him in your lineup, and he just sucks. Let's talk about the riser of the week, though. And last, we have four tight
this
ends,
is your guy,
and then
man.
We'll be with you. Your questions, all your comments leading into this beautiful kickoff. 2070 here, get the thumbs up one more time. And any new names out there, I saw some new names in the comments. Love to see it. Awesome to have you here with the Wolfpack, but consider being a permanent member by joining, subscribing. It'd be awesome to help us get to that 2K goal. We're about 60 away, baby. Love it. But the riser of the week, of all positions, in my opinion, George Kittle, 9 of 12 for 181 yards, 2 scores. He had 12 targets, 40% target share, 47% of team air yards, 28 routes on 32 dropbacks. He also played in the backfield. He was like the new Deebo Samuel. It was unbelievable. And yes, Deebo will be back at some point. But even still, Kittle could go down. We keep talking about how easy of a schedule these guys have. We haven't focused on how easy it also is for George Kittle. With Kelce sucking it up all over the place, I think I have him on the list here somewhere because he had fucking 4 catches, the entire Chiefs passing attack, 3 catches, 4, wow, generous, 3 for 27. I think Kittle has to be in the conversation for number 1 tight end moving forward.
Yeah, he looked great. It's hard to tell because these guys have been just like every week. It seems like somebody else. I mean, Kelce, it's usually Kelce, but like someone else is stepping up big every week. I don't know. It's a shuffle. You could get really lucky on one of these guys and end up with like the top guy through the playoffs. Kittle's the guy who I've certainly been most impressed with as of recently. Although value tight end of the year, Rob Gronkowski, 8 targets, 4 catches, 58 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Might be hard to pick against him.
I know, right? And that 27-yard touchdown he had was so beautiful. Just a classic. I've seen that play in New England so many times. It was so sexy to see. With no Thielen, though. Tyler Conklin, 9 targets, 7 catches, 56. Solid day for the guy. Not bad at all. Dallas Goedert's in that conversation, too, for tight ends. If Minshew's playing, he did have 6 catches, 105, and 2 touchdowns. I think all of it came in the first half, so he could have had a monster day. That was a solid effort. It did come with Minshew, so let's see it happen with Jalen Hurts, who's already been named their starter out of the bye in Week 15. But still, I know, too bad for Goddard and some of the passing game weapons. I'd love to see Minshew get a shot, but I think Hurts has earned it at this point, so let's see what he does down the stretch here.
Yeah, I don't hate Hurts or anything, but I do think Minshew's probably a better quarterback than him. And I'll tell you this, Minshew's a better quarterback than 10 or 12 starters in the NFL, definitely.
100%. In terms of pure arm, yes, Minshew's way better.
He's a good quarterback.
I want to see him get a fair shake. I really do. I want to see
him. You mean not playing for Jacksonville? Sure.
Not playing for Jacksonville, exactly. I think he could be a legit starter.
I don't know why Denver didn't try to get him.
Right? Yeah, over Bridgewater.
Or, there's a million teams that should have tried to get him. Anyway, Darren Waller's replacement, he was much lauded in the weeks, days leading up to this week. Ooh, Foster Moreau. Well, Foster Moreau had 1 catch for 34 yards. No one's too impressed with him. Slightly more impressive, Mike Gesicki, 11 targets, 7 of them caught, 46 yards, and the Dolphins win. Not too bad. Some of those Dolphins receivers did something this game.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of targets for Gesicki, kind of inefficient, but still good to see the guy as a clear-cut alpha among his team alongside Jalen Waddle. Last but not least, Logan Thomas did suffer what looked like a brutal injury, but the test did not confirm a torn ACL, so maybe it's not as bad as it looked. I wonder if you'll have him anyways, whether it's an ACL or MCL. I don't know. He's probably done for the year in fantasy-wise. Might be back real-life-wise. We'll see. He was looking so good, though. It's disappointing because it looked like the tight end pool would finally have another good member there. And last but not least, that Chiefs passing attack. Let's just mention for our boy Mitch Chavez, one of our favorite viewers of all time, what the fuck is happening? Pat Mahomes, 184 yards and a pick. I was 8 spots below on Mahomes this week, and I remember I was like, last time I was low, he had like 500 yards. No, not this time.
You were on it this week.
4 yards, 4 carries, and 12 in a TD, so he kind of salvaged a little bit of his day. But that was pathetic. And obviously, Kelce floundering with 27 and 3. Tyreek Hill 2 for 22. Ugh, what a disgusting floor. Yeah, they won, but damn, that's hideous. What's happened to Mahomes and him? I don't know.
All right, let's hit the mailbag.
We got a lot of you guys here, so let's get on in, Frazier. Here we go. Starting from Scotland, baby.
Frazier, I'm 5 points up, and he's finished. I have the Bills defense and kicker. Having seen the weather, I've benched both of them, taking no risks whatsoever. Win secures my playoff spot. Yeah, completely. The only reason I would even consider not doing what you did is if there's a total points tiebreaker or payoff. Like I'm fighting to get the top points in my league, so I need all the points I can get. But if I'm in your position and this clinches me the playoffs, yeah, you made the right move. That's cool. Good job.
Perfectly said. Yeah, no need to risk it unless there's an added incentive. And if there's not, you did the right thing.
Yeah. Roth, Tiberius, Kane, the Emperor. Sony Michelle is better than Henderson. Not that he's bad, but the Rams need to roll with Michelle. What do you think, Wolf?
Dude, I honestly, I said that in the beginning of the year. I was super high on Michelle. I thought he was going to take over the backfield. I think he showed why. I feel slightly vindicated after this last game, given how good he's looked. I just think the environment's good for any running back, but I do think Michelle looked very good. Henderson's a great back too. So I think they both play really well. Whoever it's going to be is going to be an RB1. Whoever's the starter there. I don't think Michelle's any worse. I think they are at that, like, the worst case for Michelle is they're neutral. They're definitely comparable. Yeah.
What's up, boys? Half-point PPR. I hit 197 2 weeks ago. We remember, Craig. Came back and broke 200 this week. Wow. Ended at 201 and change. Great job.
Love you, man. Great stuff, Craig. Great to see you, too. Thanks for showing
Don't
up.
stop. Glad to have you guys back to talk more fantasy football. Yeah, this is what we live for, dude.
And we love having you, man. Every time, Grind Don't Stop. He's one of those fans that showed up this year that's like, you can tell he's kind of like the Denny Jennings, the Tunes. Coming every fucking time. I love it. I love that shit. Good to see you, Grind.
Denny Jennings, good evening, Wolf and Truth. How are we on this fine night? Well, we're pretty excited for this football game coming up, Denny.
Speaking of the devil, yeah, we have Denny, then we have Tunes right after. Good to see you, Denny. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. Tunes, 0 from Boston Scott. I recommended it to a few people, too. Facing the Jets, I thought it was a no-brainer. It ended up being Gainwell. Gainwell got the role I thought Scott was going to get. Gainwell had 18 points. So I think it's one of those classic that doesn't help you. The process was right. The results were not. Like, it just, Scott was the emergency back. I wish we had a rumbling of that ahead of the game. It sucks. But you're going to win above. Oh, but he's going to win anyways. So never mind. Doesn't even hurt you. So he's just kind of bitching.
Yeah, he's just complaining. Denny's up 30. He has no one tonight. His opponent has Singletary and the Buffalo defense. Half-point PPR. Do I hold on? Probably, yeah.
Yeah. I think Buff Singletary and Buff D. Come on. Like, yeah, you're good. If you're not good, Denny, I'd feel real bad. That'd be a terrible loss.
Well, it would be the defense that's the wild card.
Because the weather's
because of the weather. I mean, it's like if Mac just self-destructs, maybe there's a pick six or two. I mean, you'd have to get really unlucky. But yeah, you're gonna hold on, bud. Yeah. Mike Schneider, what's up, guys? Took an L this week, sadly, but I would have won against any other opponent. Oh, still managed to move up the spot due to points. Wolf, I've been clamoring for a long time. We need a name for when you're the second best team in your league on your week and you lose. Or if you're the second worst team and you win.
I love the both. Yeah, we definitely need to name anybody out there.
Yeah, help us out. We want to steal it.
And another way to help us out, that thumbs up button. Free, easy way. Of course, the super chat will help us out too. But that free, easy way, that thumbs up button does help us get out to more people. That's why we keep asking. And of course, subs we'll really appreciate too, so we can get that 2K on Facebook around YouTube. Let's keep it going.
Tune says I'm in 7th right now, but I have the points to jump into 5th with this win and 4 and 5 losing. Pulling for you, buddy.
That's what we love to hear, Tunes, that late season stretch. I feel like every year this happens. And it's what happens when you draft for depth, like we always pan for. You might not start as strong because you waited on quarterback, whatever, but when these bye weeks hit, the injuries hit, that's when these teams start rising to the crop. And it's looking like you are, Kyle. I love it, Tunes.
Schneider, I need to win next week, or if I lose, I need one person to lose again and outscore them. Yeah, in our league right now, man, it's like the games next week, it's like 5 of the 6 games in the 12-team league are like loser leaves town games. It's really, really intense. I know it's not real, but it's really, really fun. And like even my game where like, I'm in no matter what. The guy that's playing against me, like he needs to win to get in. We're both like he's competing with me for points. It's exciting stuff.
It is very exciting. Schneider, I love to hear that too. I remember every week he's coming in. I lost. And now he controls his destiny. Yeah, win, you're in, baby. Like that. Who would have thought that 5 weeks ago? Your team has turned it around, Schneider. That's why you're a wolf. You stuck it out. We're getting there, baby. Let's fucking get in now. Win this week. Here we go. I love it.
Grind Don't Stop Truth. It must be nice getting that W. Best of luck for you, man. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It was nice. Yeah. You can probably tell I'm a lot more chipper this week than I was last week.
Hell yeah.
Denny Jennings, Quez Watkins, and Rager out-snapped Devontae yesterday. What the fuck's here?
I did not know that. Wow. I had.
This is why it's good. We have like moles in various cities.
Yeah.
I wish there was a football team in Montana that Eat Powder could hook us up with inside.
Seriously. Oh man. Denny, was there any justification? Like Sirianni, get questioned about that? That's just horrible. How do you bench Devonta? Unbelievable. Awful.
Toon says I'm in the same boat as Truth in one league. I need to win next week and I get a bye. I think I'm a slight underdog next week, actually, Toons, but I'm just happy to be in the playoffs at this point. Eat powder. I made 5. I'm playing for 4 playoff spots tonight. I'm going to need some crazy things to happen out of 11 leagues. Thanks for all your help. Eat powder. Love it. Love the 11 leagues.
Let's get in 9, baby. I fucking love that eat powder. I love all about this, especially the degenerate status of 11 leagues. That's fucking awesome. But great shit. Let's get him in.
Juan Pena, who should I go with in my flex? Knox or Breida against our Patriots? Oh, and just under the wire, too. Who's the better matchup? Cheers. Go, Pat. 6 rings, baby.
Yeah, hell yeah, 6 rings. I love that idea. I mean, this is a tough one, Juan. I wish you told us like what the context was, like how many points you needed. Because if you need the blow up, I think Knox is like higher upside. I'd probably go Knox here. Breida in the weather type of game, he could find the turf and like rip a 60-yard touchdown run. I could see it, but I just like Knox in that red zone. He's got that kind of the Allen zones in on him. So the weather, like when they get in close, I think he's going to go to his big boy. I think Knox scores at least 1 tonight. So I'm going Knox here. What do you think of Knox versus Breida?
I guess I lean Knox. But again, I wish I knew how many points you needed. Are you looking for floor or ceiling? Exactly.
Yeah.
But now, if you told me one of them was going to have 20 points, Knox would be the one I would assume did. U.S. Bud said, I feel like it's going to be such an ugly game. Weather is terrible for fantasy purposes.
It looks horrible out there, but hey, sometimes these games become the best. Like I just from a non-fantasy perspective, I'm looking forward to this. Let's like the Hogs up front. As Craig Sarno said, the cave for the Hogs up front. I love it. We're thinking right online here, Sarno. I've just pound that ball. Old school football. Right. Exactly. That's what we're getting tonight, baby.
Let's get back to basics. You can put that clip next to the one after I said that he was a Pats fan. He's talking about me.
He loves the Pats. Exactly, Eat Powder. Huge Pats fan. Lifelong Pats fan.
I don't hate the Pats anymore. And I've always respected Belichick as like a Jedi. Yeah. You wish, Bud. Glad Allen likes to run. He could rush for 100 yards. Yeah, he could have a big running game. It's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Grind Don't Stop says Sony Michelle absolutely smashed play this week. Wolf, what are your thoughts on Sony? Talked a little bit about him already.
In the preview show, me and CJ, I don't think we had anybody to bench him. We were all in on Sony, even when the report came out that Henderson might be active in a role. Sony, ride him out, baby. We told pretty much everybody to play Sony, and that obviously panned out big. I think, Grind, you saw it, 120 in a TD. When he's the guy, whoever's the guy in that backfield is going to put up points. Sony, no different than that. He's a solid NFL player. I've been in on him all year. If he was the starter from the start of the season, he'd be a top 10 running back. He would have done everything Henderson's done all year. It's not like Henderson was anything special. I think Sony is an equal level talent and would be just as good anytime he's featured.
Ryan says, love seeing Wolf have a hazy IPA talking Breida while I am set for my first sweep of the year. Sitting in last in my division, 4th in points in a 12-team league. Great therapy for losers like me. Ryan, I hate that. The guy who's tied with me for 2nd in our league is 10th out of 12 in points. Wow. Meanwhile, I'm 1st, and we have the same record. So it's
brutal, Ryan. I hate that. It happens to somebody every year. I'm sorry to hear that's you, man, but at least we're providing some therapy for you. I'll have an extra beer for you during the game, no doubt about it. You don't need to twist my arm, but just for you, Ryan, just for you.
He might even have an extra 6 beers. You wish,
I'll add 3 more.
I played Sony and Pollard. They did amazing. Got me in the playoffs as ugly as it was looking heading into the week. Nice job.
I love that. Like, right, 2 streams, bam. Get you over 15. Love to see it.
Toon says at this rate, Brady will be eligible for Social Security during his playing days. I mean, probably. I mean, what is there more to say? Seriously.
Yeah, he's the man.
Jeff, 100% love Jeff. 100%. You guys are the best in the business. Thank you. Saved me several times on lineup and knowledge from week to week. Anytime, buddy.
And we love you. I'm happy to hear it's panned out for you, man. Good people. I love just helping good people like you, man. And you've been so supportive all year. You show up all the time. You've thrown us generous super chats. You're a legend, Jeff. Thank you so much for being here. We really
Brian, don't stop. Speaking of Lamar Jackson, the guy's been off past few weeks. Should I sit him for Taysom Hill? Taysom Hill, by the way, is my bench guy now.
And Taysom Hill gets the Jets now. I mean, let's see what the finger's doing, what the reports are coming in the week. I don't know who Lamar plays right off the top of my head. It's not crazy, though. I know Taysom has the Jets. He'll probably be a top 6 quarterback for me if he's all healthy.
I'm going to be asking you next week about Taysom Hill against the Jets or Stafford against the Cardinals.
Probably Stafford, but damn.
Honestly, Stafford probably just because of locker room issues, but I don't know, points wise, I could totally see Hill outperforming him. Tunes scored 142 in one league with Kelsey and Ayuk combining for 14.2. Wow. I had Tee Higgins and Elijah Moore on the bench.
Man, that's a pretty beastly effort to have those shit bums in your lineup. I love to hear it, Tunes. Great win. Great win.
Joy 209. Should I trade Debo for Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson for Kyler Murray or keep both Jackson and Debo?
If you can get Lamar, if you can give up Lamar and get Kyler.
Yeah, do the quarterback one, definitely.
Swap those two. Debo, a little bit less likely to do that deal, especially if you already have Lamar. Like, don't get rid of Debo. I know you might miss another week, maybe even 2, but as long as you're already in the playoffs, Droid, you want Debo for your stretch run in that schedule. Yeah. Oh, man. You can't get rid of Debo. If you can go with Lamar for Kyler, all day, Droid, all day.
Eat powder. Lev Bell was my Big Ben. OBJ. That year, he put up 50 in the playoffs. Yeah.
OBJ was my boy that year. I had the LSU triumvirate. I had him. Who's the runner? Jeremy Hill. You remember him? Jeremy
sure.
Hill. And Jarvis Landry. All 3 of them were rookies. I'm not even an LSU guy. They all went nuts down the playoff stretch. And now I am an LSU guy. I love him forever now.
Bell also won me a title once. Eat powder. Yeah, I had him and Antonio Brown when they're both on the Steelers. It was awesome.
Remember that? Yeah. Dude, I know we're delaying some questions here, but that year when those 2 were fucking nuts, I had them. And there was one league, the most dominant team I've ever had. It was those 2. And then I also stacked up the Cowboys where Des Bryant was like 16 touchdowns a year. Do you remember who their running back was back then?
Oh, was it DeMarco Murray?
It sure was. He led the NFL in rushing. He had like 20 touchdowns. I had those 4 every single week. Just those 4 would combine for 200. And it was unbelievable. It was incredible. Yeah,
I had those 2 guys. This was the work league that I won when I had those guys. I had those guys, and I had the Peyton Manning, Manuel Sanders stack. The Broncos. So I was nasty.
That was sexy. Yeah.
Wasn't there some controversy with Le'Veon where his stock dropped a tiny bit, like he was suspended or something for a game?
Suspended for a game or 2.
I got him like a round later than I probably should have gotten him, and then he was just amazing.
If his first game back, he had like 15 catches, and we're like,
yeah. And I was like, yeah, okay, it was a good call. Grind don't stop. Felt confident starting Parker. Looked good coming back from the injury. Solid play for me. Good job.
Absolutely, a great play by you. He looked really good. That over the shoulder catch for 16 yards to clinch the game. I mean, this guy's a good player. Parker's a good player, and him and 2 have way better chemistry they had all last year. Stretch run, I think he's going to be a nice player for you, Grind.
Juan said, should we not sleep on Elijah Moore anymore? He seems more valuable than McLaurin. No, man, no, we shouldn't be. No.
Yeah, exactly. I think McLaurin could be benched for those guys at this point. Yeah, honestly.
Trade I did last week for Knox for Madison was vetoed. Wonder why. Should I try and trade Knox and Judy for D-Hop?
Yeah. We talked about how hideous that target share is, but that was D-Hop's first game back, an awful rain game. Like, I think D-Hop, the touchdown he scored was beautiful. He's still one of the best receivers in the NFL.
He's a great receiver.
I think down the stretch, you could definitely get some solid play.
Schneider and Rodgers, Sutton, and Patrick in one of my dynasty leagues would love to see that stack, but I love my Adams-Rodgers stack that I currently have a lot too. Yeah, I'll bet.
That'd be the Adams-Rodgers stack I have right now, it's gorgeous. I missed him this week for sure, Schneider. But yeah, that would be all the more sexy to have Rodgers with all those weapons in Denver. Could be
Here's
great.
The GOAT himself, Seamus. My favorite boys. That's us. Thanks for making me so good at fantasy football. I've been sitting comfy for weeks at 2 number 1 seeds. I know, Jesus Christ. And 2 first-place finishes in my leagues. You're the best. Simply of Roto Street coming in 2022. We love you, Seamus.
I love you, Seamus. We need more Seamus. That's the thing we need for 2022 is more Seamus. We're going to blow up as a site as soon as we get more Seamus going on. We already are taking off pretty well, but man, we blow up. You know who showed up the other day and was like, I can't believe how many questions you guys are getting now. He was asking us questions like one of the originals, the Meat Sweats. He showed up on YouTube.
Meat Sweats?
Meat Sweats showed up on YouTube, tossed a quick $10 super chat, and then was like, holy shit, you guys are getting like 200 questions a week. Remember we had to like beg Meat Sweats, please get us a question. Meat Sweats.
Come on and ask us something, please. Anything.
He was shocked. Yeah. We got another super chat from my man Michelson. What's going on, Steve?
Steve says, Wolf, nice show snowball tonight. Benched Allen for Minshew. Thunk smarter, not harder. Interesting. Minshew did okay.
Minshew did great. You probably won your week. Like, honestly, good stuff. I like that a lot, Michelson. Great to see you. Thanks for the support too, brother. We got to we teach together, and I never see him anymore. So we got to catch up sometime. Great to see you, Steve. Thanks so much for the support, though. We really appreciate it. We left off on Seamus, and then Tony.
Breaking news. Kadarius Toney has been dropped from my roster. I've been stashing him for nothing, honestly. I think you made the right move.
I think you made the right play as well. Yeah. With the quarterback situation, pretty brutal.
Ryan nailed the Fournette thing. We talked about that before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The receptions, right.
Send me some crab loves, Wolf.
I love it.
What's up, gentlemen? Ben says, played IUC this week. All I want for Christmas is Kyle Shanahan to be launched to the moon.
There's no consistency with the guy. Oh, Ben, I know you were asking about the show coming up, Old Planners, day after Christmas. Speaking about Christmas, we'll be live at Old Planners. So come on down, Ben. It would be great to meet you, have some beers together. would be great. So day after Christmas, anybody local there, Tunes, I know you're out there. All you guys from Beverly, come on down. Maybe we'll even get the truth the day after. That's probably a tough ask the day after Christmas, but hey, you never know.
Never say never.
Yeah.
Grind don't stop, man. I hate to say this. I had to drop my guy Bateman for roster space. Makes damn good sense. Yeah, you're right.
I'm doing the same, Grind. It sucks, but I'm doing the same.
Ben says, I need 3 and 14 points from Bass to win in 2 different leagues. And I don't know if you saw the video or not, but he's in pregame and kicks a 34-yarder into the wind that blew 20 yards right and hardly cleared the end zone.
Yep, not happening. I played, what's his name? Robbie Gould yesterday. He only got me 7, but I feel better about that than whatever Bass is going to do tonight. Yep. Thanks again for that support, Eat Powder. We really appreciate it.
Need one more win to clinch that final spot. Currently 7 and 6. Good luck.
Hell yeah, Grind. We got to clinch that spot for you, baby. Love to hear
Brian says, I got Freeman, Fournette, Patterson, wide receivers. Aaron Jones sitting in last in my division, scoring enough points for the playoffs and going to the toilet bowl. Aaron Rodgers killed Devontae Adams and Jones for me.
Damn. Sorry to hear it, Ryan. Just one of those tough years. Like, we all go through them. That fucking sucks.
Mitch says, go Chiefs. Truth, you're my favorite Broncos fan. Well, honestly, you're probably my favorite Chiefs fan, too. So
there you go. There you go.
Grind don't stop. Who to trust rest of the season, Judy or Russell Gage?
I honestly think Gage. Like, Judy had his best game in a long time. Brutal.
Eat Powder wants his $5 back because I'm a Broncos fan. He's a Raiders fan who hated the Elway days. Unsubscribed now. Haha, JK. I will say that the Raiders were my absolute last favorite team in the NFL until like 2 or 3 years ago when I was like, what's the point anymore? But that's how much I hated the Raiders growing up. I just hated them so much.
Well, hopefully you stay with us, Eat Powder, despite this awful fandom from him. It looks like the game is kicked off, Truth. So I'm going to just go rapid fire through the rest of these. Not because I know there's a rush to get questions in, but I want to
go for it. Go for it. I want to watch the game.
We want to hit everything, so we'll do it. Elliott and Pollard this past week with Montgomery, and it's going to work out. Yeah, Montgomery was an absolute monster. Jones, Kareem Hunt. Yeah, so I think you bench Elliott next week, definitely, with all those weapons out there. Had a nice fantasy week. Everyone scored double digits except Pitts. Love that shit. Truth, what's your top position in need? Do you have a big position in need on your roster?
I mean, my tight end's just mediocre, but other than that, it's just depth and wide receiver and running back just because I've had crazy bad luck with injuries. But I'm still hanging in there.
There you go. Miles Sanders is very allergic. I had 135 touches and none to the end zone. Awful. Mitchell in concussion protocol. That's very intriguing to know. Thank you, Tunes, for the update. I did not know that. Tua did not kill you. 909 actually had a viable QB stream. Crazy that your QB stream actually did okay. Josh Allen, you're up 16 versus Josh Allen. The weather might be in your favor, but he does run the ball, so you never know. But best of luck, 909. I hope Josh Allen does not get to 16. I hope our Pats smother that fucking piece of shit. Let's go. Najee Harris gets everything efficient. Yes, exactly. Exactly, Ryan. 26 touches and like 10 points. Very inefficient. Tony Jones or claim a player in return. Just dropped him, I'm sure, right?
I dropped him and picked up Taysom Hill.
Awful. But yeah, Taysom's not bad. I'm going against Allen 2909, but I'm up by a ton. Opponent has Knox, but I got Breida. Yeah, chasing 47. You're in pretty good shape, damn, right there, Ryan. I would say in normal weather you might not be, but yeah, you are now. Devonta Parker. We got to keep moving. Sorry. Grind don't stop. We're not going to take some time on Devante Parker today, but come on back. You know, we'll share our thoughts later. Fournette in 6th round, unbelievable value. Ronald Jones sucks, but yeah, good you got rid of him. Herbert's killed you. The peaks and valleys, but now he's starting to steady out, man. That did kill you for a while. Happiness is Jefferson and Cup, both of them in the top 6 on my rest of season big board. That is happiness right there, Moreno. Kyle Pitts, I'm done with him. Yeah, absolutely. Lots of people I'd start over him. Eagles took Rager over Jefferson. Yeah, and then you took what was it? J-Jaw over fucking DK. Your receiver scout's awful. Cup is a stud. Oh yeah, he is. He's unbelievable, Ryan. Conklin, pretty safe floor. I'd say over par him for sure, especially with the injuries to Thielen. Chuba Hubbard over Zeke rest of the season. I don't know because he's probably caught in a committee.
I hate those two choices right now.
I do hate those choices. The one thing is they fired Joe Brady because he didn't run the ball enough. They said they want to have 30 rush attempts. So maybe that works out for Chuba down the stretch. Other guys, Abdullah, and he's trending better. I agree with you there. Hunter Renfrow, it has been a stud. There's no doubt about it. Exactly. The company we listed upon, like all 8 of them were top 10 locks, and then him. It's crazy. Mixon Eckler, 3 fumbles, and it didn't matter. It doesn't count against points. That's crazy. That's pretty horrible. It should count against points because of bad play. Pat's looking hot. I love it. The awful weather. I think it's good stuff. Power's already out there as a Bills fan. Crazy stuff there, Boki. But yeah, I think that weather favors us, to be honest. How do I look at rest of the season with Godwin, Deontay, Higgins, Debo? Unbelievable, Sarno. You can only use 3, but you got monsters there. I love them all. Running backs on both sides. Wind is going to be crazy. Yeah, it's going to be nuts there. Power's already out. Wolf sucking off things. Real, yes, of course. That's what I always do. Can't agree with you guys more. Bateman, yes, time to send him packing. I think Russell Gage is absolutely more valuable. Robert, rather. Keenan Allen's in COVID. Yep, we saw that. Terrible. Bateman definitely falling off a cliff. It sucks. Keenan, 1 of 11 Chargers. Damn, that's a lot of them. Stay true to Mike Williams in the keeper. So, yeah, you might have to start him if Keenan Allen's out for sure.
Just so you know, I think there's been 2 drives so far, and neither team has thrown the ball.
It's going to be an ugly
and neither team has rushed for like any yards at all. So,
oh, baby. One of those old school games. Back to the trenches, baby. Lamar can't progress beyond his first read. Yeah, exactly. It's awful. Wolf, my top position in need. I mean, when I'm healthy, I have a really well-balanced team. I'd say my wide receiver 3 has been really tough all year. I have Kelsey at tight end. I have, Cook, and then a solid, there's Javonte, whether it's Sanders. I have a good running back 2 every week too. It's just that wide receiver 3. I never get it right, whether it's Bateman, Kirk. I don't know. I need that wide receiver 3, Landry. I can't get it right. Good you didn't start Boston Scott over him. He was a piece of shit. Taysom Hill over Tanny. Oh, yeah, Falonini against the Jets all day. This moment, as long as the Chiefs are still winning, yeah, exactly. It is concerning, but hey, they are winning right now. He might be done for the year. There is damage, so we'll see. No shit, he's fit. Exactly. Schultz droppable from Texas Hustler. Creepy picture, by the way, Texas Hustler. Yeah. I like it. Goddard in that league left on the bench. Oh, damn, that sucks. Thought Cooper, I can't really follow your question, brother, but yeah, I love that you think we're the realest motherfuckers out there because we sure are. But yeah, I get your logic there. It's too bad Goddard was on the bench. I think you keep Gesicki and Goddard. I'd keep Goddard, then Gesicki, then Pitts is how I'd rank those guys. One league, I went from fighting for a first round bye to fighting for your playoff chance. Damn, Mom, I hope you fucking win it then. Starting lineup of Lamar, Keenan, Debo. That's a good lineup right there, but you got some injuries.
Hopefully Henderson plays.
Yeah. Wolf, we need more smash plays this week. Yeah, we'll get you those smash plays, baby. You know it. Anna, what's up? Playing Madison, Connor, Taysom. Damn, love it. Squeeze into that first round bye. Love to hear it, baby. Great stuff. Michael Schneider. Right now, there will be 2 spots to take with 3 other teams that will be at 4. And damn, that's crazy. 4-9 is going to be potentially get you in there. Have some beer. Oh, Denny, you don't have to twist my arm. I'll have plenty of them for you today. Busy time of the year. You got to be up early, but that doesn't mean you can't have a few beers. I'm up at 5 a.m. every day for work. No excuses, Denny Jennings. Beers tonight. Let's go, Pats. Indeed, duty. Love it. Well, Eli Moore. Oh, yeah, he's definitely in your – the fact that he got done with Wilson is all you need to see. Thanks again, Steve, for that. Super chat is Vito because they're dicks in your league. Yeah, no doubt about it. As long as I'm not working my second job at the restaurant the day after Christmas, I'm there. You better be there, Ben. Get your day off now. You know when we're coming there. Get your day off. Dawson Knox, the only pass so far.
Patriots just went 3. The Patriots just went 3 and out. They rushed 3 times for like 4 yards.
Damn, we got a fucking one of those games, baby. All righty, let's buckle on up. Let's go, Pats. Thank you guys so much for being here on your way out. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up. It would be so appreciated. If you haven't subbed and you're new here, it would be so appreciated. Thank you guys again for your super chats, all your support, for supporting us here at the RoseStreetJournal.com. We breed and feed you fantasy wolves. I'm the wolf.
I'm the truth.
A wolf for the fantasy sheep, guys. Be that wolf.